Hello everyone, welcome to the Taped Podcast, the only podcast in the world.
There's no other one.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, exactly.
We did it.
We are your hosts, myself, Panda Bear.
Me?
God damn it.
Wait, am I playing along, or am I still supposed to be Chris Novoselic? I'm confused.
Yes.
Oh, I'm Chris Novoselic from Nirvana.
Oh my. Hey guys, it's me. I didn't think about this beforehand.
It's
God damn it.
Sid Barrett from Pink
I didn't
Floyd.
come prepared.
Our special
Sid
guest.
Barrett! Yeah, in reality though, I'm Mickey T.
I'm Nostalgia.
My name is Dominic.
He is our special
Was I
guest
supposed to-
today. He is our special
That's
guest today.
me.
Yeah. And what is he here for? Today, we are doing an Animal Collective worst to best. And I am excited.
That's true.
This is the first time I've delved into Animal Collective's work, so I am excited to rank this. See me get bullied for my ranking in the comments, and yeah,
I'm gonna have it worse. I can
Dude,
guarantee.
I've been a fan of Animal Collective for at least since I started high school, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be bullied for my rankings
Okay.
for what it's worth.
So we're all in the same boat here. Okay,
Let's get bullied, boys.
let the bullying commence.
Right, in the comments, I
do
want
it.
people to say whose rankings are the worst. just so we know who's the biggest degenerate.
Just so you know who to despise.
Yeah.
That's just imagine if a giant YouTuber said that. It's like, leave a like, comment down below who you think the worst member of this place is.
No.
Okay,
Don't
we
Mention
got
who sucks.
we got 11 albums to go through. We're not counting any EPs, just the core studio albums. And yeah, I think we should just get right into it. Number
Good idea.
11, the worst Animal Collective album, in my opinion, is Dan's Manatee.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, I
We
have
could've
to
seen
disagree
that
with
coming.
that. We're already off to a terrible start.
What is your
Okay,
pick?
to me, Tangerine Reef, easily, by a
okay.
long shot.
I can
I don't
see that.
hate it. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think there's a single bad Animal Collective album, but to me, that's the weakest. From a music standpoint, as a visual album, it works pretty well, actually. With the whole choral morphologic, visuals. It's very aquatic, and the aquatic, God, I keep saying visuals, but, it works really well. But as an album by itself, it's kind of weak. It's just some very by-the-numbers ambient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Dan's Manatee, this album just left me really confused. The album is pretty experimental in that there is literally no music on here. It is just random noises and sounds that have little to no musicality to them. It's in a similar vein to Ummagumma by Pink Floyd, where there isn't much of a purpose for it in the group's discography. And it's literally just them throwing shit at the wall, to say the least. For an album that's only 47 minutes long and 12 tracks, it sounded like it went on for ages, whereas the debut was a relatively easy listen and a better experience. I
feel the same way. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
I feel the same way. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
We'll blame it on
It's-
the lag, Discord lag.
Okay.
Discord lag.
I can give them props for experimenting, but it just turned out to be a bit of a mess and at the lowest point in their discography, in my opinion. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
I'll say I don't think it's the worst album I've ever heard, but I think there is a good reason why it's just so scarcely lauded. It, to me, seems like a very, very forced attempt at experimentation in that it just throws all expectation and structure out the window, and it just confusingly does its thing and exists for 47 minutes. Enjoyable moments are really few and far in between for me, and the majority of this album is just so all over the place that it's hard to even know what to think about it. It's just a mess in not the best way.
I think I'll
All right.
get into. Oh, yep.
Yeah, we have our best and worst tracks to talk about here.
Yeah.
My favorite tracks from Dan's Manatee is Esplode, and the worst track. I don't like the rest of the album, but if I had to pick, it would probably be The Living Toys.
That's
Oh.
fair. Explode is like the most popular song on that album, and it's like the closest thing to music.
It truly is.
It's not my favorite track. My favorite tracks were Good Country and In the Singing Box.
Good. In the singing box is just like a noise drone.
I like it though. I do like it.
Yeah.
My least
Well,
favorite
you like Pole Steamin', so like.
don't call me out like that. My least favorite tracks were A Manatee Dance, Bad Crumbs, and The Living Toys.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. For Tangerine Reef, I did not prepare a best to worst because every track sounds the same.
That's true.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're decent tracks. They're just all so similar that they just blend into each other. It's like one very long ambient track.
Yeah.
I mean, gun to my head, I guess Buffalo Tomato's the best, but, not by a long... Yeah.
Well, you basically took the words out of my mouth for the next pick because I chose Tangerine Reef for number 10.
I also chose Tangerine Reef for number 10.
Yeah. The next one I chose was Dance Manatee.
Alright, we did a bit of a swap there.
Yeah, exactly. See, but my thing is that I was talking to Mickey about this before you came in, but I actually got the chance to meet Avi Terran, geologist, back in April of last year, and because Avi was doing a show for Cows on Hourglass Pond.
Right, cool.
And I asked them because what's the favorite album they've made, and they both said at the same exact time Dance Manatee, because the recording process was literally them just experimenting, doing whatever the hell they wanted, pushing electronics to their max, just doing everything they could to make the most out there album. After Spirit They've Gone too, which was actually a pretty big hit in like the underground sphere. And to me, that's really interesting, and that shows that like they're not afraid to just throw everything at the wall and do whatever the hell they want, and I respect that.
And like I said when we were talking about this, that's a very respectable approach to their to their sound. I can really respect where they're coming from and how they could stand behind their work, even though a lot of people don't really find it all that great. And I can respect.
And I can see why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can also see what there is to like about it, though. That being said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah. I chose Tangerine Reef for my number 10 pick, and to give it some credit, it does its job as being a backdrop to the visuals of this album, and it allows for the visuals to shine as well as the music. But in all honesty, the music is just not all that interesting or engaging to me. I just don't really find it all that interesting. It's just kind of just ambient drone tracks that just all sound the same to some degree. I do like the visuals, and obviously the music matches them. But I wouldn't see myself listening to most of these tracks out of the context of the visual film, and
it's fun.
And it's all in all just not a really great experience on its own. So in that case, I would probably just enjoy it for the visuals. But other than that, as an album, not so much.
Yeah,
musically,
it's
just funny.
That's
kind
not
of the
even
same.
the best. It's not even the best visual album that the band has even done.
Yeah, I haven't checked out the other one though.
Oddsack is god. If it was on here, it'd probably be my last pick because it's just that insane. It's out there and it's so hard to get through. I don't hate it, but good lord.
Tangerine Reef. Yeah, as an album, it's far from the worst thing ever. I think it explores some pleasant, droning, organic atmospheres, but it does nowhere near enough in its like almost hour-long duration to, make this an album that's rewarding to just sit down and listen through. It's got some interesting, obscure background noises within its soundscapes, but it's just not really a rewarding listen. It's an album that's fine as some atmospheric background noise, but it's not something you'd like really delve into and get a lot out of. As opposed to even Dance Manatee, I think, is a bit more rewarding to just listen down to, sit down and listen to. I forgot how to talk, but this one's just a pleasant one. It's not that interesting, and I can't really put it any higher because of that. Yeah, it's definitely more pleasant to just listen to than Dance Manatee. That's why I put it higher.
That's true. My favorite tracks from Tangerine Reef is Coral by the Numbers. I don't really remember most of the tracks, but if I had to pick a least favorite, it'd probably be Buxom.
I have a few favorites and least favorites. My favorites were Haircutter, Jake and Me, and Inspector Gadget. My least favorites were Choral Understanding and Choral Realization.
My favorites from Dance Manatee is actually a tie between Explode and La Blakely Dress. And I have a reasoning for this. This isn't me going insane. And Holland Dagan, which is one of their live albums, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's either you're either gonna love it or you hate it. They have a version of a La Blakely Dress that's like completely different, and just hearing those two side by side, it's just really interesting to see like the same concept of like, it's really hard to describe like fractured vocals and like that live versus that in the studio. It's just really interesting to me.
Understandable,
right.
yeah.
And my least favorite's in the singing box because it's just noise.
It's just noise.
It's all it is.
Alright, noise is cool. Moving on to our number 9 picks, I chose Painting With.
I also chose Painting With.
I chose Campfire Songs.
Ooh, that's a spicy one.
Ooh.
I'll get spicier. It gets spicier.
That's foreshadowing.
I'm not going to be popular.
Okay, I picked Painting With. While I can respect that this is a fun album in itself, it has some things about it that just hold it back for me. Like, the vocal layering on a lot of these just pisses me off. It's just so fucking annoying. Like, yeah. I'm not interested in hearing, like, everyone just talk over each other. It just kind of feels disjointed, and it just annoys me. And the production is pretty creative at times, and I'll give it that. And it is obnoxious, which is an aspect that I do like about it. I like the out there and obnoxious feel of it. But it doesn't really come as close to a lot of the quality that we've gotten from them on their other projects. It's also kind of forgettable. I kind of zoned out like halfway through it while I was listening to it and just sat there. I just feel like I fell into the void. And, there were some great songwriting moments there as well, especially on the track Golden Gal. I definitely noticed a decent bit of songwriting there. But other than that, I just think it's alright. Nothing special. I just think it's a decent enough project on its own.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with most of that. But like the thing is, I enjoy this album way more than I really should. Mostly because Floridata was the main song that got me into exploring the band more. Like the one that really got me into them, we'll talk about later. But Floridata was the one that was like, okay, I gotta hear more from these guys.
Floridata is a bop, though.
It really is. Also, Florida Gang. Shout out to Toasted Marine.
Yes.
But like, I don't know. It's just really fun. It's again, sometimes it's really obnoxious, but like the highs are really hard to ignore. And it's also probably like their most. It's really weird saying this, but I think it's their most like poppy album. It feels like their most accessible. At least that's what I think. It feels like the one that you can just turn on and just kind of like not really focus on the music and just it's really catchy. It kind of just feels like a modern version of the Beach Boys, and I really like it for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I enjoy it. Whoa.
Campfire Songs. I don't know. I just considered this album to be like the least significant in Animal Collective's discography. It's just not interesting, kind of acoustic guitar droning. The production doesn't do anything for me. I think the ideas aren't fully committed to it, and the execution is underwhelming. Compositions a lot of the time just seem really directionless to me. Production, as I said, never does the compositions any favor. And I don't know, this album, it just sounds like it's someone injected morphine into it. It just sounds lifeless to me. I don't really find myself enjoying it all too much. Once again, I don't think it's the worst thing ever. It's just they've got better stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
That's fair.
My favorite tracks from Painting With are Floridata, Golden Gal, Bagels in Kiev, and The Burglars. My least favorite track was Hocus Pocus.
My favorite tracks from Painting With are definitely Floridata at first. I also really like Bagels in Kiev. I like Recycling a lot, and Lying in the Grass. My least favorite, probably Golden Gal. That's a very hot take, but
Ooh,
I don't know. Listen, I just find the vocals really annoying, and that one actual Golden Girl sample is just so like out of place to me. And just I don't know. It's one of their like worst produced songs. It's just like the beat is really loud and the vocals feel kind of drowned out because of it. It's supposed to be really catchy. It's just not. I don't like that song that much.
Well, I mean, I'll disagree, but I'll respect your opinion.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Respect.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'll be pushing it to the limit.
Oh shit.
Favorite tracks were Doggy and Murara Rain. Least favorite track was Two Corvettes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to our number 8 picks. I chose Centipede Hurts.
Ah, come on! I will defend. I'll get into that later, but I chose
too.
Campfire Songs.
I chose Sung Tongs.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Again, we switched around. Campfire Songs is definitely probably like their most ambient album in their like freak folk era. I do enjoy it for a lot. I think it was. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was the first album that Deacon was a part of. Or was that? No, wait.
I can't confirm nor deny.
I cannot confirm either. I know nothing about the band.
Yeah. No, wait. I think I'm wrong, but it has a really nice atmosphere. I like the very stripped back production, and despite some of the lyrics being like nothing, it's just very peaceful and it's nice. I enjoy it. There's really not much else to say other than it just sounds cool.
Fair.
Who goes next?
I'll go next. I chose Centipede Hurts, and I didn't even think this was much of a hot take actually, but I don't really like it all that much compared to the rest of Animal Collective albums. Like the next 4 are probably neck and neck for me for a lot of these. I feel like it's a bit of a downgrade in quality after their most acclaimed album, and I can honestly see why the people would feel that way, including myself. Like, there are some admirable qualities about it. I respect that they just didn't make another Merryweather Post Pavilion and decided to go back to a more harsher, more experimental approach. And this album is like a balance between those experimental aspects and the accessible parts, almost like Strawberry Jam in a way. The first 4 tracks, they are amazing. They are a great stretch of tracks in Animal Collective's discography. They're definitely the strongest, I would say. But after that, it just evolved into a predictable sound that just gets very tiresome, and there's not really much interesting happening on here that I haven't already heard from any other Animal Collective album. And it's ranked this low because of that. And yeah, that's just all I have to say about Centipede Hurts.
Sung Tongs. I don't know. I'm just... As people will find out, I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of era of Animal Collective. I do think the album is still decent. I think there's a lot here to, appreciate. I think a lot of the songs are very well crafted, very interesting in their compositions. But I think that the duds on this album for me are a bit too common for me to be able to rank this any higher. On one hand, I do like the kind of somewhat more traditionally acoustic approach to their sound. It makes for a very lush, kind of easy to digest when it comes to some of their early stuff album. As with a lot of their other earlier stuff, I'm not really a fan of the compositions. They seem a bit too messy for me. Too all over the place, at times very sparse, to be anything truly memorable for me. There's times where, this album I just straight up don't find enjoyable. There's 1 or 2 tracks that I just do not like at all. And overall, it's just not my favorite. I can kind of understand what people see in this, but it doesn't really do much for me personally.
That's fair.
Yeah.
A lot of what I like about this album kind of came from its uniqueness rather than anything really connecting with me. It was just an interesting album to listen to, but I don't know.
To be fair, I can see that.
Yeah, that's my take.
All right,
let's do worse.
All right. My favorite tracks from Centipede Hurts are Moonjack, Today's Supernatural, Rosie O, and Applesauce. My least favorite is Monkey Riches.
Oh, come on! Monkey Wrenches is a banger, dude. What do you mean?
Sorry, I had to pick something.
I understand, but come on.
I had to pick something. That's all I have to say.
I
had
get
to
you. I
pick
get
something.
you. I get you.
It's still a good album, though.
Okay. My favorites from... There's only 5 songs, so I'm only going to do one best and one worst. My favorite song from Campfire Songs is Mubara Rang, and my least favorite is Two Corvettes.
My favorites on... What was I talking... Oh, yeah. I forgot what album. my favorites
What album
were...
was it again?
Leaf House, Who Could Win a Rabbit, Winter's Love. My least favorites were Visiting Friends, What Did I Done, and We Tigers. I hate We Tigers.
Yeah, We Tigers is a bit odd.
You two go first for your number 7 pick. I want to cause some tension.
Alright, okay.
All right.
Well, mine's a bit unpopular. I think this might be my most unpopular opinion here.
Go ahead.
Oh, boy.
Go ahead.
My pick for number 7 is Fields.
What?
Okay.
Bro!
Like, it was like, yeah. I like how I was like, yeah, that's fair. I respect your opinion. Mickey just dies.
I'm shaking. I'm actually shaking.
My number 7 pick. I feel like we keep switching it around. Mine was Sung Tongs.
This is even more unpopular than Michal's. Mine is Spirit They're Gone, Spirit They Vanished.
Okay, I think we'll start with Dominic because his is
His is the
probably
least
most acceptable
controversial.
opinion.
I respect feels, but that hurts.
I'll explain myself later on.
I understand you will, but still. My favorite. I don't hate Sung Tongs. I mean, that's why it's so high up here. It's really good psychedelic folk. It's probably the best freak folk album I've ever heard. It's probably their most popular album pre Merriweather Post Pavilion, and the guitar work's really good. It just doesn't do much for me. I really saw some songs on here are my favorite Animal Collective songs, period. Winter's Love is a goddamn masterpiece. Who Could Win a Rabbit is just stupid fun and somehow really catchy despite being the weirdest thing ever. And Leaf House is just a really solid opener. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever, but I definitely enjoy it a lot.
Who's going next?
Me or you, Mick?
Whose is the least controversial out of both of us?
I don't
I'd
know.
say Feels is least controversial.
All right. This is probably my most unpopular opinion, though. I don't know. I have some hot takes later on, but we'll see. I think a lot of the complaints I threw at Sung Tongs can also be attributed to Feels. I think this album relies too heavily on its unorthodox song structures and production, and if the stuff they explore musically clicks with people, then I definitely understand why these guys are why this album specifically is so acclaimed. But this stuff just doesn't click with me at all. The song structures are interesting at times, but just awkward and messy to me at others. The production kind of yo-yos between pleasant experimentation and just really harsh and abrasive. Instrumentally and vocally, at times it just feels like it's being weird and different at the cost of everything else. That's not to say I didn't enjoy a lot of this album. I still think this was a generally good album. I think, I'll get into the best tracks, but there are some standout tracks, and some of my favorite Animal Collective tracks are on this album. But as a whole, project from start to finish, it didn't really floor me in any way, shape, or form. And, as with Sung Tongs, I think the enjoyment I get from this album is mostly because of just the uniqueness of the soundscapes and music being presented here rather than really connecting to anything on a deeper level. That being said, I think it's a good album, but,
I'm honestly scared to hear both of yours best to worst tracks. I'm probably going to scream.
Okay, so I chose.
Alright.
I chose the debut, Spirit They're Gone, Spirit They Vanished, and it is often the contender for the best in Animal Collective discography from fans and critics alike. But I'm a bit iffy on this album because to start with the positives, I think that the themes of the record are pretty reflective in the music itself. As a very cute and ambient and dreamy aesthetics combined with a very disjointed noise that's almost terrifying in a way. And that's definitely most reflected on tracks like Untitled and the and Spirit They Vanished. And that's the case with a lot of the lyrics too, especially with the way they're worded. The tracks that stood out to me the most on this album were the ones that were more atmospheric, more dreamy, a lot more ambient and innocent sounding. They were just an absolute vibe, and I would definitely see myself returning to these tracks a lot more, specifically ones like Penny Dreadfuls, La Repette, and Chocolate Girl. And the synth work is great on this album. What turns me away from it, though, is just the noise aspects. I know that's unpopular. They just annoy the shit out of me. I'm sorry. I just can't sit there and listen to fucking ear-piercing noise for like 3 minutes. And yeah,
Right.
this is more, obviously this is reflective on tracks like Untitled and Spirit They've Gone. But also the vocals don't really do much for me. And with all that being said, it's still a good album. Just not my favorite Animal Collective album. You can tear me a new asshole in the comments now.
Well,
Oh god, I'm so scared to hear y'all's best to worst.
alright, we'll start with you then.
Alright, my favorite songs from Sung Tongs are Winter's Love, Who Could Win a Rabbit, Leave House, and Visiting Friends. And my least favorites are What Had I Done and College.
My favorites on Feels were Did You See the Words? The Purple Bottle, Turn Into Something. My least favorites were Flesh Canoe and Daffy Duck.
Flesh Canoe! What?
Apologies.
Oh.
Okay, no, you're gonna hate me for this. My favorite tracks from Spirit They're Gone, Spirit They Vanished are Penny Dreadfuls, Rapperette, and Chocolate Girl. My least favorite track is Spirit They Vanished. I fucking hate that song.
Oh, okay, thank God. If you said Alvin Rowe is your least favorite track, I would have. Oh. I would have booked a flight to Ireland and beat your ass.
Well, like we mentioned in our Beatles podcast, just send me an email.
Yeah. Come on,
Will do, buddy.
Here, there still might be time for some more drama. Things might get more heated.
Oh boy, it should be fun.
Don't lose hope. We'll
Alright,
get on to number 6. Yeah.
Alright, number 6, I chose Campfire Songs.
Number 6.
I chose Centipede Hurts.
Oh, I chose Arc, or Here Comes the Indian.
Yeah, we could have picked a better time to do an Animal Collective podcast. They just released a new EP. They renamed Bear.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The stars aligned. Yeah, they're definitely on people's minds right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I chose will I start or
Yeah,
You can start.
Okay, I chose Campfire Songs, and I really enjoy Campfire Songs. There's a lot of positive things that I have to say about this album. I love how it flows as one cohesive unit. I think transitions are pretty solid across the board. Like, when I was listening to Queen in My Pictures, I had my eyes closed, and when it transitioned to Doggy, I had no idea that the song changed. And it was a bit of a weird one. It was like waking up in the fucking Twilight Zone. And
yeah.
I like how they incorporate a lot of nature recordings into the music itself, and it adds some sort of like meditative feel to it. It's very relaxing a lot of the time, and I like how these tracks are structured. Like Queen in My Pictures is an amazing track. So one of my favorite Animal Collective songs. I like how it builds up from nothing to nature soundscapes, the soft vocals and the guitar strumming for 10 minutes, and it almost doesn't bore me for how long it is. The only issue that I have with this album is that the final 2 tracks, I don't enjoy them as much as the first 3, and they are somewhat monotonous, especially Moo Ra Ra Rain. I appreciate the motifs of the guitars as well. So yeah, all in all, I just think it's a solid record. It isn't overly consistent, but it's surely a nice, like, meditative and relaxing experience. And yeah, I do, honest to God, enjoy it.
Fair. I said this on my review on Album of the Year, that I feel that Centipede Hurts is like the redheaded stepchild of Animal Collective's discography. Like, everyone knows about it, people talk about it, but no one really like gives it any high praise. I so strongly wish that this album got some more attention, because it is fantastic. There's just so much to like here. The chaotic nature, it's sure things jump so fast from one track to another, and they don't exactly flow together. But it's just so much fun. It's just chaotic psychedelic. There's like not a single dud on this album. It's just so much fun. Amanita, the closing track, one of my favorite Animal Collective songs of all time. Moonjock is amazing. Wide-Eyed is, I'm pretty sure, the first time Deacon sang on an Animal Collective record, and it's amazing. I love this thing way too much. It's so good.
I'll refer to it as Arc. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but the very messy and chaotic and psychedelic compositions on this album end up being very entertaining and very enjoyable more often than not. I think it's impressive how an album can be so chaotic, rough, and abrasive, yet simultaneously so pretty and lush. There are also moments that seem a bit too unfocused and poorly produced. I don't think this album is mind-blowing in any way, but I do think it's an enjoyable album from start to finish. It does lack some memorability, I think, especially in the latter half. I didn't really care for some of the tracks on there. But that being said, I think this album should really get mentioned more when it comes to their better albums, because I do honestly think it's better than Fields or Sung Tongs. Yet I rarely hear this one get mentioned in any, Animal Collective conversation in terms of their best albums.
I very much agree.
Guess I disagree with it being held as some of their best, but I'll respect the opinion. I'll respect your opinion. All right.
Yeah.
Best and worst tracks. My favorite tracks from Campfire songs is Queen in My Pictures. My least favorite track is Moo Rah Rah Rain.
My favorite track from Centipede Hurts are Amanita, Moonjock, Today Supernatural, and Wide Eyed. And my least favorite is Father Time.
My favorites on ARC were Infant Dressing Table, Two Sails on a Sound, and Slippy. My least favorite was Halite.
Really?
That's interesting.
That's actually interesting. I'll get into that.
I did say I
yeah,
didn't
we
care
will.
too much for the second half, but Halite was in the first half, but it was still my least favorite track.
Mm-hmm.
We've made it to the top 5, our top 5 Anko albums.
Let's do it.
All right, my number 5 is Here Comes the Indian.
My fifth favorite Animal Collective album is also Here Comes the Indian, but I will be referring to it as ARC.
Mine fifth is Painting With.
Ooh,
that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to start with you. I want to start with you Painting With.
All right. I think this is... I agree with what you said about this being possibly their most accessible album. I just think it's a very relaxed and measured album. And I think that doesn't in any way, shape or form stop it from truly reaching the peaks of Animal Collective potential. I think this is one of their best albums in my opinion. I love the soundscapes. I love the interesting ideas. I love, how to the point a lot of these tracks are. It doesn't really meander in its song structure. It's just all straight to the point. What was I going to say? It's still a bit chaotic. It still has that Animal Collective flair. But I do think this is a very accessible, very easy to digest album from the group. And it's just fun. It's just really fun from start to finish. I think it gets way too much shit.
Fair enough, I guess.
Mickey, you want to go?
Yeah. Here Comes the Indian, or ARC. Yeah, this album is pretty experimental in Animal Collective fashion. The way I describe it, it's like Dan's Manatee, if Dan's Manatee was actually somewhat structured and listenable.
Dance Manatee, but it's musical.
Well, there is a fair bit of tribal influence on some tracks, more specifically on Panic and Slippy. I like a lot of the off-the-wall moments on this album too, the moments where it's very abrasive and overall just being extremely weird. Personally, it's not really as consistent as I would want it to be. There are a few tracks that I just don't care for, just don't really do it for me. But when the tracks land, I am having a real good time. A lot of good ambience, noise, and drone influences all across the board. I think they're culminated greatly, and I think they are making some very enjoyable material out of these influences. And I feel like it's definitely a top 5 record in their discography. And yeah, that's all I really have to say.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of the points that Mickey had. ARC is just stupid fun. It was the first official Animal Collective release, and it definitely shows that all 4 of them were kind of doing their own thing. But it's just really fun. There's just some really, some of their most, energetic tracks on here with the opener Native Bell and Halite are just go so hard. And the rest of it is kind of a mixture of ambient, noise, drone, all of that. And it's just really interesting to me. But I wouldn't say it's their most inaccessible or most experimental, like some people say. I would go to like Holland Dagan or Transverse Temporal Gyres. Like compared to those two, this is like a Taylor Swift album.
Yeah, I guess. Moving on to worst best tracks.
Oh yeah.
My favorite tracks from Here Comes the Indian are Slippy, Haylight, Infant Dressing, and Native Bell. The worst track is Two Sails on a Sound.
My
favorite.
Oh, go.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
No, you go.
I insist.
No, you.
No, I insist. No,
All
listen,
right.
you.
Shut up. My favorite tracks on Painting With were Floridada, Hocus Pocus, Golden Gal, Natural Selection, and Bagels in Kiev. My least favorites were Vertical and The Burglars.
Okay.
My favorite songs from ARC are Native Bell and Haylight, and my least favorite is Two Sails on the Sound. Yeah. All right. Hello, guys.
Moving on to our number 4 picks. I chose Song Tongs.
I chose Spirit They're Gone, Spirit They Vanished.
Ooh. I chose Feels.
Okay, Song
what
Tongs. I'll go first.
Okay.
All right, you do that.
With this one, I see Anko like take a gamble at meshing their experimental and psychedelic sound with elements of freak folk music, and for me it works for the most part. This album feels like you're just sitting around a campfire, just making up random shit. Like you don't know how to play guitar, so you're just strumming randomly, and the others are just screaming and doing God knows what. And I like that whole carefree. I like that whole carefree vibe of it. Majority of the tracks on here are great. Some of them are very serene and they can be relaxing. Specifically, The Softest Voice and Visiting Friends, which I think is the peak of the album. And then there's some crazy, off the wall and weird moments like Who Could Win a Rabbit. I feel like the album loses steam for me after Visiting Friends. These final batch of tracks feel the least developed and leave me a bit underwhelmed, whereas the other tracks I thought were just great throughout. This doesn't take away much from the record because I still think it is a very quality one. I think it's close to one of their best. And yeah, that's all I have to say about Song Tongs. I really enjoy this folk direction.
Nice.
What order? Should I just go?
Yeah, go for it. Just go for it.
Yeah, the debut album from Animal Collective is, I think, one of their more exciting and abrasive albums. It does have some flaws. I think the production often leaves a lot to be desired, and I don't think every song is that well structured and executed, but a lot of this album is just really vibrant. The instrumentation is very layered and experimental. I cannot talk, but it never delves into like the territory of just awkwardness and just being completely unintelligible like some albums. The drumming throughout, I think, is one of the highlights for me. It's often like makes or breaks these tracks. More often than not, makes them. It really adds a lot of abrasiveness to like these otherwise kind of mystical and twinkly atmospheres, and it just all comes together to be really unique and really enjoyable. And it's easily one of my favorites.
All right.
Yeah, my fourth favorite album from Animal Collective is Feels. It's definitely their most rock-influenced album, and I really appreciate it for that. It feels it's just really fun. I feel like I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, but it's just a really fun album. I really enjoy it. It's yeah.
It's okay. It's supposed to be fun.
Well, yes, but like
fun is good.
Definitely
fun is good.
Fun is good. I agree. Yeah, it's. Yeah. I do think like this is technically still a part of Animal Collective's Freak Folk days, and I definitely think it's the best album from that era by a long shot. It's just some of the tracks just hit harder. It feels more concise of an album rather than just like it feels like this was planned. This feels like every song was written and not just improvised on the spot, and it's really good.
All right.
Respect that.
Big respect. All right. Best and worst tracks. My favorites from Song Tongs are Visiting Friends, The Softest Voice, and Winter's Love. My least favorite track is Mouth Wooder.
My favorites were April and the Phantom, Chocolate Girl, Bat You'll Fly, and Alvin Rowe. My least favorite was Spirit They Vanished.
My favorite tracks from Feels are The Purple Bottle, Did You See the Words, and Grass. And my least favorite is Daffy Duck.
All right.
Okay, top 3.
Top 3. We made it. Okay. My number 3 pick is Merryweather Post Pavilion.
Ooh.
Oh no! God, I knew this.
At least it's top 3.
Gonna happen.
At least it's
top 3. I'll give that to you.
My number 3 pick is Strawberry Jam.
My number 3 pick is Spirit They've Gone, Spirit They Vanished.
Okay.
All right.
We've got like their 3 most highly acclaimed albums in third.
Hey, look at us. We're normies.
we have diverse rankings. See, we are cool. We are you cool kids.
We're cool. We're hip. We're with the kids.
What order are we doing this?
I'll go first.
All right.
Right, it's the 8th Animal Collective album, one that's often considered their masterpiece and their absolute best album. I can certainly see why, but for me it's not their best, but it is certainly a fantastic record. The production on this album just feels otherworldly, it's atmospheric, it's just an absolute vibe. A lot of the synthy soundscapes just swirl around you and just leave you, and you just can't help but feel entranced in the experience. It just feels so grandiose. It's very joyful, it's upbeat, it's pretty accessible, and also the drops are amazing, especially on Daily Routine. I just fucking... Holy shit, it's so good. The sense of cohesion between these tracks is just very strong. A lot of these tracks are essential in Animal Collective's discography, and it contains some of my favourite Anko songs, period. And I love many of the tracks in here, which I will get into in Best Tracks. For me, it's not a masterpiece, and it's not my favourite Anko album, but it's certainly in the debate at being the peak of their discography, and I can respect that. But all in all, it is a fantastic record, in my opinion.
I'll go second. Strawberry Jam is very good. I feel like it's a bit of a turn in the group's approach to experimentation. On a lot of their previous albums, to me it felt like the experimentation really stemmed from, the instrumentation and song structure primarily, and the production kind of was the glue that kept everything together. I feel like on Strawberry Jam and some of the albums that follow it, I think the production is really what, diversifies these records and makes them stand out. And for me, on Strawberry Jam, I think the production takes center stage above everything else. The instrumentation plays kind of a supporting role, and it does that very well. And all in all, it just forms a really cohesive, really enjoyable album. The production is very grandiose and overpowering in a weirdly pleasant and comforting way. The songwriting as a whole is a bit more accessible than their previous records, a bit more easy to swallow. And overall, for me, it's just a brilliant melting pot of experimentation. There's some pop appeal in there, and it's one of my favorite projects from the band, for sure.
Spirit They've Gone, Spirit They Vanished is just such a unique album. I've never heard anything like it, and I honestly doubt I'm ever going to hear anything like it again. I usually am not a huge fan of noise-influenced albums, but it just works so well here. Like, it's just so interesting to pick apart every single little bit of just every single note on this album is interesting. And the fact that only 2 guys made this that are 2 years older than me just makes me feel upset about my music career.
It do be like that.
And
Yeah, and
like songs like they're just like some of the songs on here are just the highest highs Anko has had, and it was their debut. Like Alvin Rowe is probably my favorite song from them. One of my favorite songs from them, period, hands down. One of my favorite songs of all time, easy. April and the Phantom is just absolutely beautiful, and Le Rapide is just that song is just terrifying in the best way.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alright, moving on to our best and worst tracks. My favourites from Merryweather Post Pavilion are In the Flowers, Bluish, Daily Routine, and My Girls. My least favourite track is No More Running.
My favourites on Strawberry Jam were Peacebone, For Reverend Green, Fireworks, and my least favourite was number 1.
My favorite tracks from Spirit They Gone, Spirit They Vanished is Alvin Rowe, April and the Phantom, Le Rapide, and Chocolate Girl. And my least favorite is Everyone Whistling.
Okay,
Top
number
2. Number 2. Drum
I'll go
roll,
last.
please.
I'll call mine out last.
Okay. Oh no, that's a bad sign. All right, drum
good
roll,
one.
please.
Not yet. What are you on about?
Drum
I don't know if y'all
roll,
can hear that.
please.
Just... Go.
Strawberry jam.
Hey, Strawberry Jam Gang, let's go!
Hey!
Hey!
Let's go.
My number
We
2
did it,
pick
boys.
is Centipede Hurts.
Oh my
Ooh.
god.
Mm-hmm.
My man
That's
right here. I want to hear your take on this, Nostalgia. I want to hear this. What makes this the second best Animal
To
Collective
me,
record?
it's in the same kind of field as Marietta Post Pavilion or Strawberry Jam, but it feels a lot more tuned down and clean in a way, while still remaining very unorthodox and very harsh, and just as memorable as Animal Collective have ever been to me. The instrumentals and performances are just so lively, so full of, like, those words mean the same. What am I on about? So lively and full of life. It makes the near hour length of this album feel like it's half of that. It's just, I think it's one of their most fun, their most quirky and exciting albums. I think it deserves a lot more love than what it gets. It's definitely their most underrated album. And, you know, it's a lot of stacks, what am I doing? My voice. A lot of stacks, a lot of tracks are just absolute.
From now on, we are calling songs stacks.
Yeah.
My favorite
It's just
stacks.
instruments stacked on top of each other. They're stacks. A lot of tracks are among my favorites in their whole discography. And, you know, deserves more love. And I'm giving it that.
Fair enough.
All right, yeah. Mickey,
All right.
you want to go next?
Yep, Strawberry Jam. So good. It's nothing new. It's nothing new or groundbreaking for Anko, but it does contain some of the most enjoyable tracks from any collection of Animal Collective albums. Production-wise, it's very good. It's very experimental and all over the place in typical Animal Collective fashion, and it's a bit more accessible in that way, and I like that aspect of it. It's an easier listen than a lot of their other albums, and it does contain so many fantastic moments on here, like number 1 for Reverend Green, Unsolved Mysteries, Winter Wonderland. There's just so much going on in the cacophony of sounds that make it just so intriguing and so unique in Animal Collective's discography. AOTY's vocals have improved quite a lot on here as well. His yells and his screams seem a lot more pleasant to the ear, and they improve quite a lot on here. And plus, songwriting on this is pretty solid too. And all in all, it's just an amazing experience of an album for me, and I hold it in high regard when talking about Animal Collective. So yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I love the most about Strawberry Jam is that could have been Animal Collective's masterpiece and the thing they're known for. And I probably just spoiled my number 1 choice because they dropped Merriweather Post Pavilion directly after that and just completely crushed it. But Strawberry Jam is still it's still my second favorite album, and it's absolutely perfect. There is not a single bad track on here. Peacebone is just one of the greatest opening songs of all time, period. I am not arguing this. I'm right. And just the rest of it's fantastic. AB's vocals are perfect. Panda's harmonies on Chores are like heavenly. It's so good, and just everything about it is amazing. Like the more rock influenced instrumentation, it goes in like it's like the perfect mixture between rock and electronic. It takes the best elements from Feels and what would come next, Merriweather Post Pavilion. You can definitely tell they were going for a more electronic approach, and it's amazing. It's one of the best pop albums. That's it. That's the sentence.
All right, best and worst stacks.
Let's go. Let's stack them up.
All right. Okay. My favorite stacks on Fireworks. On Fireworks. Okay. All right. My favorite stacks on Strawberry Jam are Fireworks for Reverend Green, Peacebone, Winter Wonderland, and my least favorite stack is Chores.
My favorite stacks on Centipede Hurts were Moonjock, Today's Supernatural, Applesauce, Amanita, and Newtown Burnout. My least favorite stack was probably Pulleys.
We become stacks.
My favorite stacks My favorite stacks on Strawberry Jam are Peacebone, Unsolved Mysteries, Chores, Derek, Winter Wonderland, Cuckoo Cuckoo, and my least favorite is number 1.
Ooh.
All right,
Same
we're doing it.
least
Number 1,
favorites.
let's go.
All right.
Okay. Mine is Fields, and I will not forgive you, you bastard, for putting it so fucking low.
Yeah, why? What? I still don't understand.
I don't know. I'm just not that fond of their freak folk stuff. Also, you put Centipede Hurts where? So we're even.
Listen.
Yeah, I don't care for
just
Centipede
know-
Hurts as much as the others.
I don't care for
Mickey.
Fields.
Ah!
Let me just. I just want to say, I respect your opinion fully, but that just means you're wrong.
Yeah. You can't
I have my
respect
voice back, and I'm glad no
someone's
one's gonna
opinion
talk
and them
about
being
that.
right.
I'm just being dramatic here. Don't
All right, we should keep
Number
this
1,
going.
we're doing it. What's the
My
best?
number
Animal
one's a
Collective
very,
record?
very, very normie pick, but Merryweather Post Pavilion.
My number 1 pick is Merryweather Post Pavilion by a long shot.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll start with Mick then.
Okay, Feels is my favorite Animal Collective album. And it's the first Animal Collective album. Don't laugh at me.
No. It's funny because I just hear nostalgia, just silence. I can just feel his rage.
I'm drinking water. I'm grand.
Oh.
Okay,
I see.
okay.
We've had some bad takes. We'll tell you about our bad takes after we're done this.
All right.
Okay, Feels is probably the Animal Collective album that I've fallen in love with the most. The sound of this album is just, it's just so great. I love how grandiose and larger than life it feels. They take their ambient style and turn it into something more serene with more fantastic soundscapes. The dramatic and emotive feel is backed up by passionate and emotional performances from the guys. They still add to the psyche feel, yet manage to deliver a very emotionally potent sound. There's some moments with very emotional songwriting too, more notably on tracks like Flesh Canoe, The Purple Bottle, and Banshee Beat, to name a few. And it's just a journey to take. It's like I'm in a trance, and when the 50 minutes is over, you just find yourself in a corner in a pool of tears. It's just, holy shit. That's just how I feel about this album. I don't know. I just love, it's the most personal Animal Collective album, I would say. And it's probably my favorite because of that. I like how personal they get with a lot of these songwritings. And just overall, the whole sound, I think it is amazing. And I will not forgive you for putting it that low.
I forgive myself.
Well, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Well, it counts to me.
All right, I'm going to probably talk about this album for a very long time, so I'm going to let you go first.
All right. I think there's a very good reason why this album is so highly praised. I think it takes everything I really liked about Strawberry Jam and just takes it to a completely another level. The production is immaculate. It's massive. It's powerful. It's very colorful and hard. It's hard hitting. It's very human. There's just so many ways I could describe the production and the instrumentals on here, because that's how just varied and layered and complex they are. It's just hard not to get blown away by tracks like My Girls or Daily Routine. The song structures and instrumentation perfectly play to the strengths of the production, in my opinion. It also has what is, in my opinion, the best songwriting on any Animal Collective album. The Beach Boys' influence is definitely heard, and it's definitely welcome, because who doesn't love the Beach Boys?
Except Summer in Paradise, that album is terrible.
Oh god, I don't want to talk about that.
Alright, that doesn't count. It just doesn't count. That being said, this is a lot of people just kind of throw the Beach Boys tag on this, and I don't know, it in a way that kind of devalues it. It's completely original. You can see the influence in a lot of their stuff, but I don't think it's fair to just say they're stealing anything, which I've heard a few times, and it just blows my mind. Yeah, but anyways, it's an easy pick for top spot here, and it's one of the best pop albums of all time in my eyes.
Yeah, Merryweather Post Pavilion is probably like my most nostalgic album. It's my second favorite album of all time, and it would be number one if Lift Your Skinny Fist Like Antennas to Heaven just didn't exist.
Good pick.
It's just a journey, and this was like the gateway drug to me for discovering new music. I've heard Summertime Clothes through Skate 3 for the first time, and I just fell in love. It's probably still my favorite song of all time. It's just, the rest of the album is just absolutely perfect. It's just so beautiful. Some points it's beautiful, some points it's catchy. The lyricism is absolutely amazing. Just the way they make, just the sound of it, it's just indescribable. It's so amazing, and I love this thing.
I don't blame you. It's a fantastic album.
It's so
brilliant.
good.
Okay, best and worst tracks?
Can I also say it has one of the best covers of all time?
It does. It moves.
I love that
It's so
cover.
cool.
It
Yeah,
moves.
so does.
It moves.
Bro, Post Demon. So to be fair, so does Strawberry Jam.
Funny thing about it though is when I look at it, like directly, it doesn't move, but then when I'm just not focusing on it at all, it moves. It's just freaky.
No, it just moves all the time for me.
It moves all the time. I have the
I know.
vinyl and it moves. It's
No,
so,
when I
it's so
stare-
insane. Like,
No, when I stare directly in the center, like it doesn't move. But then when I'm just looking somewhere else on it, it moves. It's freaky for me. Well, it's a great cover. It's like a goated album cover.
Yeah. No, I cannot make it not move. Same with, I can kind of make Post Demon not move, but this, it just moves. It has a mind of its own.
I have the vinyl of Merryweather Post Pavilion, and if you open it up and just like stare at the open front of it, it's like a full thing, and it's so cool. It's just like an expanded version of it. It's really sick.
If I didn't order vinyls like yesterday, then I probably would have got it.
It's a really good pressing.
Yeah, I actually, that would sound pretty good
I
on
have
vinyl.
that. I have that. I think that's my only Animal Collective vinyl. I have Strawberry Jam on CD, and I ordered Feels a few days ago.
Nice.
So that's coming in soon. I'm pretty excited for that.
I'm gonna order Dance Manatee on vinyl just to be a contrarian.
I want to hear that on vinyl, if I'm being honest. That would be sick.
What if it's just incredible on vinyl?
Yeah, exactly.
Bruh.
If is Pulse Demon on, now that I think about it, is Pulse Demon on vinyl? Like, is this harsh noise down there?
I'd love to see the fucking.
I want to hear that.
Here, nostalgia. I'll buy you fucking Dance Manatee for Christmas.
No, I mean Post Demon on vinyl. I want to see.
Okay, can we say our best and worst tracks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have to do that.
All right, I'll go
really
first since
off topic.
I'll go first since I picked Feels. My favorite tracks are Banshee Beat, Bees, Grass, Loch Raven, Daffy Duck, and my least favorite track, even though I think it's amazing, is The Purple Bottle.
Oh,
My favorite.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, sorry, bro.
No, that's spicy. That's spicy.
My favorite tracks were In the Flowers, My Girls, Summertime Clothes, Daily Routine, and Brother Sport. My least favorite was probably Lying in a Coma if I had to pick.
My favorites tracks from Animal Collective's magnum opus, Merryweather Post Pavilion. In the Flowers, My Girls, Summertime Clothes, Daily Routine, Bluish, Lying in a Coma, Brother Sport. And you know what? No worst tracks. There's no skips on that album. Every single song is perfect. I can't pick a worst track for the life of me.
And that's fair. That's
Understandable.
fair. Everyone has their own masterpiece.
That's it. That's the one.
Bro, I'm looking at Post Demon vinyls and they look sick.
And
I wonder what
guess-
the group. Okay, go ahead.
Wait, hang on.
Okay, we're doing the outro
It's
now.
just,
Okay.
I thought it's interesting. I want to
is
know what the
interesting.
grooves look like.
We'll continue this conversation after.
No, they might want to hear.
No, they want to know about what we have
Okay.
going on next week, which is an Aphex Twin worst to best. Stay
And
tuned
if
for
you
that.
if you like bad mic quality and unintelligible noise, then you're in
And
luck
just
because we've
screaming.
got Louis coming back on.
Oh,
Hey!
yeah. Why didn't Louis come on today? That's a little disappointing.
Because he doesn't come on for most of the podcast.
Upsetting.
It indeed. Well,
It's easier for me trying to edit the audio.
true. Thanks for coming on anyway, Dom. It was a
thank you.
pleasure
I
having you
appreciate
on.
it. It is a honor to be on here with y'all.
This was a very fun episode to record.
This was fun. Yeah. You guys invite me back anytime. This was awesome.
Yeah, you're officially a friend of the show.
You are more than welcome to come back.
I have friends.
You're more than welcome to come back. And of course,
I appreciate it.
And of course, thanks
Hear that, Mom? I have friends.
Thanks for checking out today's episode of the Taped Podcast. Like I said, we have Aphex Twin coming next week with Louis. Links in the description to our album of the year, Rate Your Music, and our own individual channels. And do you want us to plug anything for you, Dom?
I really have nothing to plug.
I'll just put your...
If you want to drop my album of the year,
I'll put that in the description.
Cool. Yeah, follow me on album of the year. Let's get to 500 by the end of the year. Yeah, that's definitely achievable.
Hell yeah. It is achievable, don't worry. I got 500 in like fucking 6 months.
I got 1,000 in like 2
I've been
months.
on there 6 months. You're just lucky.
Alright. Yeah, so that's it. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Peace.
Right.
Farewell. Godspeed.
You Black Emperor.